So I started Tamele the Maelstrom in early 2021, and right now, as of late June 2023, I'm almost done with album number 6, which is a crazy level of productivity if I do say so myself. I'm calling it album number 6, it doesn't have a name officially yet. I'm sure it'll have a name soon, but I'm very close to being done with it, just need 2 more songs. The name Tamele the Maelstrom, other than just being a cool alliteration, a good name for a metal band, the idea is about fighting whatever it is you need to fight. So whether that's like your demons, or depression, or like the man, if you will, whatever you feel is oppressing you, it's just, it could be for anything, but it's just about standing up for yourself and fighting whatever you need to fight. I do pretty much everything for Tamele the Maelstrom. I play all the instruments, I write all the music, I write the lyric, I do the vocals, I do all the recording, I do all the artwork, which has advantages and disadvantages as everything does. On the upside, it gives me control over the band, and which I like to do that because I can control where it goes, like the vision of it. I can get a vision in my mind and execute it perfectly without someone screwing it up, which I enjoy. Another advantage is, surprisingly, I think it's actually more productive. It helps me get things done faster because I don't have to schedule like having a drummer come over on Wednesdays and do stuff, for example. I can just wake up and do my routine and get everything done. So I think that helps with productivity. The downside, of course, is that I'm not a particularly good singer. I think I'm good at rapping, but not singing. I try to be good at singing, but, I have asthma. People have pointed out the vocals are kind of nasally. I've tried to take some, sinus rinses in order to deal with that, but it doesn't seem to help all that much. So I do my best with what I have, but, unfortunately, it's not as good as I'd like it to be either. I've tried to find vocalists on the internet, but no one really seems to be enthusiastic about it, so I figure I'd just do it. The artwork as well, I'm not super technically gifted with actual art, which is pretty obvious. I think we all know that. But I do my best, and I like to have control over it anyway, just because I get to control the vibe of it, and it's always good when your artwork gives off the same emotion as the music, and I'm not sure that if I just paid someone to do it, they would be able to do that the way that I want. God forbid, have the internet do it, with AI. But yeah, I do it all myself, and there's advantages to that and disadvantages. I wish I had a vocalist that wasn't myself, but it is what it is. So the reason why is pretty simple. Tamele the Maelstrom comes out of my love of all things music. I love playing the instruments, writing the songs, I enjoy writing lyrics, I kind of enjoy doing the vocals, but not as much as everything else. I love listening to music, I love experimenting on music. For example, I love taking ideas that seem like they don't fit and making them fit, like combining Arabic folk music with melodic death metal, for instance, which I know Arabic folk music, that's probably a very broad general term that's not particularly useful. I don't know what the subgenres of that are, but you know what I mean. It seems like every album's completely different from the last, almost as if each album is rebelling against the last one. Tamele the Maelstrom, each song is a world unto itself with its own atmosphere, vibe, and way of writing, and even the recording's quite different with each song. So, Skits is a concept album where the album tells a specific story, and there's an emotion carried through from beginning to the end. Skits is a very dark album, so Texas is an upbeat and playful album. Texas is very dry, arid, the guitar tones has a lot of treble, it's very sharp, there's low reverb. So In the Wake of Majesty is recorded in Trop C, and it's very low pitch with a lot of reverb and not a whole lot of treble. In the Wake of Majesty is instrumental, so Surreal has a focus on the vocals and is carried by the vocals. There's a lot of rapping and singing, and everything kind of supports the vocals rather than the other way around for this album. Surreal is probably the least real album in the sense that it's a lot of it's done with keyboard and the electric drums, songs like Voodoo and Vodka and Robot in a Box. The only thing that's being authentically recorded is the vocals and the bass guitar, because like the flute and stuff's just done with the keyboard and the drums are done on the electric kit. So the 6th album has none of that. We're back to the acoustic drums, no keyboard. Everything's real, authentic. Surreal, I felt like the recording quality was a lot better than the other albums, and on the 6th album, we're back to a more lo-fi, kind of dirty sound. So each album's kind of rebelling against the last, it seems, which is cool. I find it a lot of fun to switch things up and try new things with the music. A lot of the recording is pretty similar. I have kind of a style that I like. As you can tell, probably, the guitars, generally, I record 3 different takes for guitars, and I pan one all the way to the right, one all the way to the left, and then one just stays in the center, and that creates a very thick, overwhelming vibe from it. I don't actually do a lot of editing in the recording. I like to keep things kind of raw and simplistic. I just enjoy that sound better than the ultra perfectionist stuff. The way I see it is that humans create art that represent us, and we're not perfect, so to take all the little mistakes out of a song, out of an album, is to rob it of its humanity, of its art, and of its artistic integrity, in my opinion. So I like to keep things relatively raw and simplistic, but I also like to have a recording quality where you can actually hear what's going on, and I feel that Tamelli the Maelstrom walks that line pretty well. I'm very happy with the recordings I have of the band. My writing process is very different depending on the song. I would say that most of the songs that I have began with a guitar riff or something like that, maybe a drum beat. A lot of them, I'll get the idea for a song in my head and I'll hear everything in that song in my head, and then I just recreate it in real life. In particular, Breaking the Ice and Shadow Monster, I heard those songs in my head in their entirety, pretty much the way that they're done, and I just recreated that. I made a couple changes, like Breaking the Ice was originally done with piano rather than the hammer dulcimer in my head. Shadow Monster had keyboard in my head, and I didn't end up adding keyboard to it in the end. But both of those songs were pretty much recreations of something I imagined in my head. Some of them come off as concepts, like I think to myself, I want to write a song about this or that, or I want to write a song with this emotion, or with this sound, and I just end up working on it until I get something that fits for the concept I had. So the lyrics are kind of random, to be honest, with the exception of like Skits as a concept album, or Most of Texas and In the Wake of Majesty are instrumental. But for the songs that actually have lyrics, a lot of them are kind of random. It's mostly whatever, like I listen to the song and I think about what the song represents, what it feels like, and I try to write lyrics that fit for that vibe, essentially. Sometimes I already have an idea of like, I want to write a song about whatever a particular concept, and then I do it in the opposite way. I write music that fits that concept, and then I write the lyrics. Generally speaking, or pretty much always, the music comes first and the lyrics and vocals come later. It's about trying to fit the vocals and lyrics into the song rather than fitting the music around the lyrics and the vocals. So I guess just to wrap this up, I want to give a thank you to the 24 subscribers of this channel. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.